we all know attend events like these and we get fired up and then the event ends and all of the motivation goes. But the Leader's Guide to Resilience doesn't leave you hanging. The lessons are there, the toolkit is there, and underpinning it all, working as your own personal cheerleader to get you from I can be a success to actually doing it. Practical well-being and international speaker. Oh, can everyone hear me? Everyone froze. Can you all still hear me? Okay, great. Where her previous book, The Leader's Guide to Mindfulness, calmed you, with resilience, she is here to arm you. So you will not only survive crisis, but rebuild when exhausted and thrive beyond normal. So I'll hand over to Audrey.
Thank you, Elsa. And thank you to all the amazing speakers. And Terima kasih, thank you for having me as well. Now, as everybody has said, change is hard. It is difficult. The tools are simple. The tools are actually themselves very easy, but doing them every single day, making that commitment to our mental health and mental well-being, that's the hard part. But nothing is as hard as staying where you do not want to be. The WHO, the World Health Organization, defines mental health as a state of well-being where an individual realizes his or her own abilities, can buffer the stresses of normal everyday life, and can contribute well to his or her community. And you may indeed pick up the Leader's Guide to Resilience, thinking, I need to buffer my stress. I need to try and contribute to my community. I need to get a handle on my mental well-being. And I will give you the tools to do that. But within this book as well, you get my pledge to mental health as something to work for, to nurture, to strive for, and to commit to every single day, because mental health is not the absence of stress, of mental suffering, of mental illness. Mental health is the presence of wellness. It is our ability to choose happiness and positivity and strength every single day. So what if you could choose a state of mental well-being, and not only that, nurture it in others, role model it to the students, to your teams, to your clients, to your children? What if you could finally recognize that the hedonistic treadmill, very much like that third bowl of ice cream, is not actually nurturing you or nourishing you, and is actually making you feel a little bit sick, even though you thought you wanted it in the first place. And instead, you choose something more nourishing instead. And what if you could be that ideal person, that hero, who can choose joy, choose happiness, choose love, choose strength? And through that, you are successful. Through that, you are winning at life. That's resilience. That's mental health. And that, at least to me, is success. Now, you've been given a lot of tools in today's session, and I will give you a few more. And the reason why we focus on practical tools is simply because stress in the 21st century is not the same as it was before. The threat is no longer physical. No longer are we running away from the predators in the jungle, but we're worrying about whether our friend got a promotion instead of us. No longer are we avoiding the poison berries that might be seated somewhere disguising themselves as lovely food, but we're worrying about our toxic relationships. And no longer are we exhausted from running because we're fearing something that's going to chase us, but we're actually exhausted from the in tray that keeps piling up and never seeming to end. So in the 21st century, the tools that you need are not always physical, but they are about building our psychological strength, building our emotional fortitude, building our mental fitness. And like any muscle, we need to keep practicing them daily in order to keep that strength going. So today I'm going to give you some of those tools, and I'm going to start with one of them, which I learned from, you've heard her, the award-winning Sharon Lawton. And this is to really work on what it is you want to focus on. Have a goal. If you do not know what you're looking for, how will you know you've achieved it? So I want you to draw out a circle and divide it into 8 different segments. You don't need to be great at art, as you can see. You're going to use each of those segments, but have your goal clear in your mind. Write that goal out. But in each of those 8 different segments, I want you to write down one thing that will help you reach that goal. So let's imagine your goal is, I want to have a life of mental health and well-being. So let's just have mental health as our goal. Well, what are the things that are going to help you in here? Number 1, it might be, as every one of these speakers has said, positive, healthy relationships. It might be our relationships. Number 2, it might be career success. That's okay. That's something that gives us achievement and meaning. Number 3 might be travel, even though we can't do that just yet, but it might be something we're passionate about. It might be our hobbies. You will have different things that together make up your mental wellness. So write those things down, but then it gets very clever, because then you have to give yourself a visual representation. You have to say, on a scale of 0 in here to 10 out there, where am I on each of those segments? Have I really been spending time with the healthy people? Have I really been building my positive energizers, or have I actually been letting those ants, those automatic negative thoughts take over the whole time? Am I actually 9 or 10, or am I about a 2 or 3 at the moment? Make a mark where you are. Your career. Maybe you've loved working from home. Maybe you've been building your career really well because you've started a new business. Maybe you are 7 or 8 in that career. Brilliant. Mark it off. Travel. Well, I know I'm missing that dreadfully. So I'm about a 0 or a 1 right now. Traveling to my local supermarket is not doing it for me. Hobbies. I'm engaging in those a little bit more. So maybe 3 or 4. But the reason we mark it off in that way is because we can then see, we have a visual representation of how balanced or imbalanced we are in achieving our goal of mental health or mental wellness. And by using this tool, using where we are, you might look at it and say, oh, actually, I'm doing all right with my career. I'm about 9 or 10 there. I'm going to work on my relationships. And then simply, all you do is every single day, you just choose one thing that will push that up one more notch. You don't need to make a 3 a 10 immediately, but just push it up one more notch. That is one way of making a commitment to your mental wellness. So first of all, know your goal. Tool number 2, when we know our goal, we actually need to be able to have the time to achieve it. But we all know there are so many demands of everyday life. So try this wonderful little quadrant. Draw a cross on your page. And what you have is you have tasks that are important and urgent. Then you have tasks that are important, but they're not urgent. Then you might have tasks that are urgent, but not important that you do it. And then finally, you have tasks that are simply not important and not urgent, like scrolling through social media and getting upset about what you might see. So divide all of your thoughts, all of your priorities, all of the things you're doing in these different segments. Urgent and important. Simple answer. Do it. Do it. That's it. Just get it done. That's your priority. And those will probably meet the criteria on the mental health wheel, on the goal wheel I've just shown you. But this is where it gets more fun. You might have tasks that are important for you to do, but they're not urgent. That might be, maybe you haven't seen people for a long time. You do need to go and see them. It is really important you do it, but maybe you've got a deadline coming up. You don't need to do it just now. Well, then simply delay them. Delay it. Delay it. You don't have to do it. You can say, I don't have time right now, but I can do it tomorrow, or I can do it on Saturday. And then because you're not worrying about all of the things that, oh my goodness, I should be doing that as well, you can actually enjoy doing that thing at that later point. So you've built a little bit of time. You've got some time back. Now, how about these tasks that are not important that you do it, but they're urgent? And I've got a few of those. Someone's got to walk my dog, and someone's got to cook dinner. Someone's got to load the dishwasher. Someone's got to pick the children up from school, that sort of thing. Well, if they're urgent and they have to be done, but it's not necessarily important that you do it, delegate. Delegate. We forget that actually our team is also our family. We think about teams and we think about work, but one of our closest and hugest, largest supporters are the people who live with us. And that, if we can work as a team, delegate those tasks, because not only does it show that you trust them, but they can be empowering, especially if you're delegating what are important tasks, but not important that you do them, to younger ones. They might feel a lot of pride in being able to be trusted to stack the dishwasher, or go and walk the dog around the park, or whatever that might be. So anything urgent but not important you do it, delegate it. And this one is my absolute favorite. If it's not important and not urgent, and yet it's taking up all of our time, remember, psychological stress, 21st century stress, delete it. Get rid of it. Delete it. If you catch yourself scrolling through social media, if you catch yourself worrying about things that maybe you cannot do anything about, get rid of those tasks. And one of the best ways of actually getting rid of a task is by filling that gap with something more productive instead. So that might be a substitution such as, I might walk on the spot for 5 minutes just to get myself away from my phone. I might go out, take a few breaths of fresh air. I might have that drink of water. I might go to the toilet because I need to. That's what you do when you've deleted the tasks that are not important to you. And by doing this, you will find you will get a lot more time back. And not only that, but you will be focusing on the things that are most important to you. So you've got your goal, and then use this tool, the do, delay, delegate, delete tool, to actually decide on how to prioritize your time. Now, these two are cognitive tools. They are practical tools. They are things that we will do. You'll go away after the session and maybe think, yeah, I really like that. I'm going to do it. And then it will get to Monday, Tuesday, and that dedication, that will begin to wear off. Because our commitment to mental health can be a little bit like our commitment to physical health. I mean to go out for a run. I will go out for a run for 3 days, and then on day 4, I'll press my alarm and stay in bed a little bit longer. So these next two tools are the ones that help you keep going. And these really relate to what all the speakers have said. They relate to who we surround ourselves with. The more energizing we have within our own situation, within our own community, the more likely we are to actually do what we said we're going to do, because we feel fired up. So this is how you surround yourself with energizing people, with people who will inspire you. And yes, maybe they do inspire you to take a swim, or maybe they inspire you to write a book. I am blessed with everyone, you've seen them, who will do both. So draw yourself a little cup. It's a cup of tea or coffee. And I think about tea and coffee because it's warming. It makes me feel good. I can sit down and relax. And you can have maybe 2 or 3 cups. But what I want you to do, and this is very much like the tool that Heather gave you, think about the people who you would like to have coffee or tea with. Who would you like to spend time with? Is it because they have certain character strengths that you like? Is it because they have certain values that you like? Note those people down and write down what their character strengths or their values that you appreciate are. Maybe they are humorous. Maybe they make you laugh. So maybe it's humor. Maybe it's passion. Maybe it's simply championing you. They just make you feel good. So I'll do a little smiley face there. Do that for, say, 3 people that you want to have a cup of tea with or a cup of coffee with. Recognize their values. And then you work to live those values every single day. So it's not just about saying, oh, this is lovely. These are my friends. These are the people I want to spend time with. But in order to have people that have those values, you yourself need to be demonstrating them. You yourself need to be living them. If you want humor, show humor to others. If you want kindness, show kindness to others. Those are the values you recognize. Those are the values I want you to focus on. But along with that, I do want you to do something else. When you've got those friends that are important to you in your life, that are meaningful, tell them, remind them, say why they're so important. Because we don't say this often enough. We assume people know that they're important to us, but especially now, when we haven't had as much of a chance to talk to each other, when we haven't had as much of a chance to see each other and get that feeling of love that you get when you're face to face with the person that you really enjoy spending time with. You need to go that extra mile, just go that little way forward and tell them, whether it's a simple text, whether it's a little message, whether it's an email, or even a handwritten card or note. That's a lovely thing to do. So it's something, tell them, something that will just remind them, you know what, you made a difference in my life, and that's amazing. And I'll tell you right now, it works, because every single one of those speakers who have been so, so kind, I am absolutely glowing. I'm buzzing, and it's beautiful, and I'm so grateful to them. So that's how to create a tribe around you that really matches your vibe. But here's another one to energize you personally. And this is the yin yang. Now, I know most of us, and I'm not an artist, and I apologize for this. So the yin yang is balance. It represents balance. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about the things that energize you and the things that relax you. And the things that relax you come under the yin. And the things that energize you come under the yang. The reason why I want you to think about these 2 things is because we don't often know what is meant by the phrase self-care. You hear it a lot. You hear, you must look after yourself. But actually, for some people, that might be a massage. For other people, it might be a good night's sleep. For other people, it might be putting on your best outfit, going out and having a really great night out. It's different for every single person. So what you need to do is recognize what works for you, except where it's also important is work out whether it's something that energizes you or whether it's something that relaxes you. Why? Because we have 2 states of mental suffering that we need to deal with. Apathy, verging on depression and sadness, and anxiety, which is where our heart rate's going, we're feeling stressed, we're feeling overwhelmed. And if we're in the anxious state, something that energizes us further is probably not going to work quite so well. If we're in the apathetic state, in the sad state, something that relaxes us further may not be quite so effective. So have a think about what energizes you. It might be things like learning a course or reading a book or going out for a walk or listening to a podcast. Think about the things that relax you. That might be having a bubble bath. That might be going for a spa. That might be chatting with a friend and just being able to sit and talk. It might be watching reruns of something that you've seen a lot of times on television, but just because it makes you comfortable. Recognize what they are, note them down, and then when you need a relaxer because you're feeling overwhelmed, go to that straight away. You will have that list of things that relax you. When you need an energizer because you're feeling sad and down, go to the list that energize you, and then you will bring yourself back into balance. When you've brought yourself back into balance, those commitments, the goal wheel, the being able to do, delete, delay, delegate, all of that becomes easier. When you are in balance, being able to change your automatic negative thoughts into positive, energizing thoughts, that becomes easier. When you are in balance, finding and creating a place simply to be becomes easier. And when you're in balance, seeing the people who inspire you, building the ideal you that you want to be, and focusing on your character, that becomes easier too. So these two tips are about our emotional fitness. Our first two are about clearing the headspace. These two are about emotional fitness. Surround yourself with the people that you love and know what makes you feel great because it energizes you or relaxes you. But the third set of tips, these are about being you. These are about recognizing and appreciating that, especially in times like this, who you are far outweighs what you have and what your titles are and what you know. Who you are wins through. And this is how you can start to reconnect with who you are. And so this is the vitals exercise. You write vitals down the side, V-I-T-A-L-S. And the V stands for your values. What are your values? What is important to you? Have 3 values written down. 3 key values. I stands for interests. Now, with our values, that's very much like our cup of coffee or cup of tea. Work to live those every single day, even if you only just manage to make one of them. But our interests, that's something that as adults, we tend to forget. We maybe used to love playing the piano, or we used to love art, or we used to love running, and we just don't have time for it anymore. Try and make time for it. When you've delegated or deleted some of those tasks, make time for something because it interests you, you care about it. That will energize you. That will make you more likely to make all those changes that you may wish to make in order to have that mental wellness. But one little caveat when you are revisiting something that interests you before, you do not need to be perfect at it. If you haven't played the piano for 20 years, you do not need to be playing Beethoven's Fifth perfectly. You simply need to be able to play a tune to make you feel good. T is temperament. Now, to break this one down, you might be a fast thinker or a slow thinker? Now, a fast thinker, you like making decisions straight away, you like things done now, you like moving on to the next thing and then getting excited about stuff, or you might need to process things. You might need to stop, you might need to wait, you might need to say, hang on a minute, I want to look at all of the information. Now, either way, whatever your natural type of temperament and thought process is, you can do the other one. And you might find yourself in a job where you like to think very quickly, but actually you have to be patient. You have to slow it down. You have to wait. You have to hold back. Now, that's fine because we are complex, wonderful human beings. We can do both. We can do what suits us and we can do what's expected of us. But if we are doing what is expected of us too much and don't have the chance to have the outlet of what simply suits us, that's leading to burnout. That leads to stress. So if you, like me, I'm quite a fast thinker. I like to do exciting things very, very quickly, but my job is coaching. It is training. It is being patient with people. And I do it because it's part of my profession. I then find things to do that excite me, that I think quickly over. And one of the things I like doing is simply doing things like escape rooms and puzzles with my husband. So find something that gives you that outlet. Know what your temperament is, find something that gives you the outlet. Similar to that, around the clock. Now, this looks at whether you are a morning person or an evening person. This looks at whether you are an early bird and you make the most of the early hours in the day, you're feeling your most refreshed then, or whether you like working longer into the night. Again, we will have something that suits us, very much like temperament. And if you realize that you are an early bird, but maybe people in your household, your family team are night owls, or maybe the people you work with are night owls, or maybe you're on shift work, then there are things that you can do in order to try and make that gap that little bit less pronounced. So if, for example, you like to get up early, but your family like to just stay up late into the night, the best time to have serious or meaningful discussions with them will not be first thing in the morning, because although you're feeling great, they're probably quite tired. And it won't be last thing at night, because although they're happy to have a chat last thing at night, you may be half asleep. You can already see a great time, a better time to have important discussions will be in the middle of the day. So have a think about how you can negotiate what will work best for all of you. Similarly, if you are on shift work and you are an early bird, but you work better during the day or when you've just got up, then maybe there are things you need to do in order to make yourself feel better working into the night. And that might be shifting your body clock. So that means think about your environment. Think about how restful your bedroom is. Think about how easy it is to retain that sense of darkness whilst you're there. Our physical environment, exactly as John said earlier, can play a huge role in how we feel. But the best thing about some of our physical environments, such as our bedrooms or our workspaces, we can actually control those and manage those. So manage what you can. L is life goals. Remember what is important to you and what is meaningful to you. And that might be something that isn't necessarily recognized by other people. So here's my question to you. Think about an achievement that you did in the past, something that you were really proud of, but think about why you were proud of it. So for me, one of the things I talk about is I did, when I was very young, the swimming thing where you dive to the bottom of the pool and you rescue a brick, because that's what you do for one of your badges in swimming. Now, what was important to me was not the fact that I did it and got the ribbon for it, but simply the fact that I did it. I'm not a strong swimmer. I actually failed it twice before I managed to get it, but then I got it. For me, a life goal is perseverance, not necessarily the certificate at the end. And by recognizing that, it begins to dawn on me why I enjoy training, why I enjoy teaching, why I enjoy writing. because through that, I see people persevere and grow. So work out what your life goals are and introduce them into everything that you do. Because if you can find meaning in what you do or make it meaningful, you will be more engaged with it, you will be more energized by it. And that is another way to buffer the stresses of 21st century living. And finally, this is something that Heather mentioned, our strengths. Know what they are, be proud of them, recognize them, and try and use them every single day. Maybe one of your strengths is being creative, but you don't get much opportunity to do that in your work. Well, first of all, can you introduce it into your work? Or second of all, can you simply find ways of being creative elsewhere? Maybe wearing something creative, maybe creating a lovely window box so you can look at it. Those are different ways of engaging with your strengths. Because if we don't engage with what we're really good at and what we know we're really good at, we begin to feel like we're losing part of who we authentically are. The reason why the acronym VITALS is used is because these elements are as important to our mental fitness as food and water and exercise are to our physical fitness. So live your vitals every single day. And the very last of the tools, and this is my favorite energizer that I always do, I'm going to ask you to do this with me. I can't see you, so don't worry if you're not doing it, but it's a very simple stretch. You've all been sitting down for a while and I'm grateful to you, but just stretch your arms out, get yourself sort of feeling a little bit looser, and think about one thing in your room right now that you are so grateful to have, that you love. Just have a look round and just be grateful, because this keeps us focused in the present right now. It grounds us and we think, yeah, I've got that, and that's great. Now, roll your shoulders back, shake out a little bit, and think about one thing you are looking forward to doing today. One thing you are looking forward to doing today. And the reason I ask you to think about gratitude is not just because it does reconnect some of the pathways in our brain and releases endorphins and makes us feel good, but it allows us to live in the present rather than panicking about the future or regretting or resenting things that might have happened in the past. Why? Because the present is the only time that we can guarantee we've got in order to create a future that we want to live. So, if you can, today, in the present, right now, make that commitment to your mental health, to try any one of the tools that I've suggested, that the speakers suggested, any one that works for you. Use it, try it, commit to it every single day. Then, very much like the landscapes that John creates, in creating and cultivating our place to be, because this is the only place we've got until we leave it. You plant that seed of health, you nurture it, you commit to it, you speak kindly to it, and you are patient with it. And that is how not only do we build our resilience, we build our mental wellness, but we get ready to grow. Thank you all so much for all of your amazing attention, time, commitment. We are now here to answer any questions, and thank you especially to Keith and the University Bookstore Malaysia for hosting such a wonderful event. It's been absolutely our pleasure to be here. Thank you.